What are your thoughts around AI and security and where we're at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a sort of industry game changer. When I say industry, I mean kind of the broader tech industry. I mean, it's clearly like super disruptive to all kinds of businesses, and I'm talking specifically about generative AI. And security wise, it's like I think it's important that we pay attention and that we similar to what I was talking about with cloud security is like, okay, how is this different? Like what from the past can we apply legitimately, and what how do we need to think differently? I think for me, some of the interest and kind of what I've been probably paying most attention to is like on in AI as sort of assistance for software engineering, and I think about and it's really neat. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do, whether it's automatically writing tests to kind of like reviewing code for you. So and a lot of generating code, and I think even before Gen AI came along for software engineering, we already had probably 5, 10 years of this sort of growing low code, no code, right? Where you're basically pushing out the ability to create software, like legitimate, like workable software to folks that don't have software engineering backgrounds. I personally think that's a good thing because it just like lets people self-solve. And I think that follows where now like you have in the business people are procuring SaaS, right? It doesn't have to go through a central team. Like you don't need to have central gatekeepers. But I think one thing I think that will be true is that if it's easier to create software, there's going to be more software, right? There's going to be more software. There's going to be more vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
So you just saw 2 months ago, right? Basically, the National Vulnerability Database just basically said, "Yeah, we can't do this. Like, we just cannot keep track." So I'm like, "Yeah, okay, we're gonna have more software. We're gonna have more people building software that are not experts." So we just talked about trying to make developers security experts. That to me is a failed model. So then what are you going to do? You're going to go to the person who's using chat gpt to create a function to be just to help them get their job done. You're going to ask them to be a security expert. So to me it like all kind of leads to that line of like you got to figure out how to build security into these things. You got to figure out how to let people do the things that are going to further the business in a safe way. And if you're thinking about, oh no, we got to block this, we got to stop this, we got to control this, like when has that ever worked? It just has never worked. I mean, we've had decades of experience of
Mm.
security teams failing because they're trying to slow the business down. Like that's just not going to work. So to me it's like it's got tremendous potential. It's got a lot of interesting threat model is super interesting, but you got to like anything that's this disruptive and this innovative, you have to embrace it for the potential positive change it can have. But obviously, thinking as a security person is like, oh, geez, there's a lot that can go wrong. But so let me figure out how to help the business kind of navigate this uncertainty rather than being like, let's hit the brakes. Let's sort of like say no. I'm sort of very allergic to that kind of mentality. So I generally encourage people to, yeah, obviously like learn more about it and understand it, but really think about it from like with an optimistic lens of like, hey, this is going to this really has a nice potential to help. So how can I figure out how to sort of help the business get there?